Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here today and happy Pride. This video is about the impact of human connection, the LGBTQ plus healthcare community. Educating ourselves and others about the LGBTQ experience and challenges as frontline staff means going above and beyond to understand their past and current environment. It means understanding the different elements that they may need in the workplace to feel safe, as well as knowing sometimes not everyone feels comfortable enough to speak out or speak up to their leaders about what's missing. And this is why we have to educate ourselves, right? So today we're going to talk about leaders' impact on allyship and equity in the workplace, particularly some examples for how leaders can enhance the safe space for the queer community as healthcare team members. And supporting our conversation today, I'm thrilled to welcome Dante Matthews, program editor for the content development team here at HealthStream. Dante, thanks for being here. Please tell us a little bit more about you.
I'm so happy to be here today with you, Caroline, and thank you so much for having me and inviting me on the platform to talk about such an amazing topic. To all of the listeners and viewers out there, my name is Dante. I'm one of the program editors, like Miss Caroline said, and I am also a nurse as well. I've been in the nursing game for about 11 years now, with a hyper focus within critical care, cardiac care, mentorship, you name it. I've pretty much have done it. One of the reasons why I chose nursing was what I discovered about myself. Was that I had an innate ability to nurture and care for people. So it fostered that sense of caring and that sense of wanting to go into something that was everlasting and something that will make a huge impact on communities in a holistic view. So I went into nursing and it has changed my life completely, personally and professionally, rewarding and challenging. And then, of course, you have all of the ups and downs that comes with it as well. But all in all, it has been a wonderful career that has definitely given me the resources and the tools that I can change the world or have some kind of impact on it or some kind of seed to actually do so.
I love it. Thank you,
Mhm.
Dante. Thank you for sharing that. As we got ready for this talk today, we talked about a couple different things, and one of them was that leaders should be looking around at their team members, and although they may not know who identifies, leaders need to be holding themselves accountable to have conversations with fellow leaders and their team members about the changes they'd like to see in the workplace. Changes could be challenging discrimination, they could be promoting gender inclusive language, but most importantly, leaders should be going out of their way to make sure they are supporting and developing their team from a place of inclusivity and equity in mind. So, Dante, I'd love to ask you about a positive experience that you've had with a leader who took the time to work with you and support you in your development. Would you mind sharing?
Oh, absolutely. There is a particular leader, and I'm just going to say shout out to Cam Time. Um, he was a former director of mine back in Houston, Texas. Amazing guy, and the story it just envelops in such a way that it's almost like a Cinderella story. So I started out working in a unit that, in my opinion, was almost like the redhead stepchild. You kind of know where no one really wants to go, no one really wants to work at it. And so I kind of adapted that same energy as well because it was just something that was just all around. So as I, worked and I started to see the potential of the unit, and then I started to see so many things that were lacking from the unit, one of them being more of a unit of family, more of a unit of team camaraderie and things of that nature, it kind of made me want to take a step forward and kind of be more of a catalyst for that particular change in that area. So the director noticed it. And then he eventually had talks with me about potentially being promoted. And around that time, I had so many ideas for the unit. I wanted this big glass display case so that way you can walk on the unit and see who's there. I wanted unit celebrations. I wanted to be more inclusive, and I wanted to celebrate the people who were actually there and not just, you come in and do a 12-hour shift and you go home. And it's just like, oh, okay, I went to work, no big deal. So that ended up being approved, ended up being promoted, and COVID happened. COVID happened, and then it was like, what in the H is going on? I don't know what it is. We don't know what it was. So we were just in the trenches and we were trying to make the best of everything. So again, keeping that hands-on spirit, that more of a transformational leadership spirit, I pretty much, again, boots on the ground, helping the team out. I didn't put myself in a situation where it was going to actually put them into harm. And I didn't mind stepping forward and doing things and showing them, rather than just being in the office and in the background and not doing a thing, and just say, okay, you do this, you do that. So fast forward, that granted me, or it offered me, or afforded me, I should say, the first inaugural position to be the assistant nurse manager at that particular hospital. And it was such a wonderful experience because not only was it the first that they actually had, but the unit that I worked on eventually was able to acquire a prestigious award from the AACN, which is their Beacon Award of Excellence. And that pretty much is given to a unit that shows quality of care that's improved, KPIs that are actually improved. You have a sense of teamwork, a sense of belonging. All those things that we did over a short 2-year time span literally gave us that particular recognition that we deserved and that we actually wanted. And it's because of that director taking that step and noticing, who do I have around me that can be that catalyst of change and actually be that particular person that could guide these individuals into a way that will not only benefit them, but it actually will help them shine in the long run. So shout out Cam if you if you see this.
He empowered you to empower others. He saw something in you, and he took the time to connect with you about your thoughts and what you were looking for. So thank you for sharing that story. That leader had an impact on your career, on your work environment, and a positive impact on that. You've got such experience. I'd love to know from your perspective, what are some other best practices that leaders could do when it comes to retaining LGBTQ staff?
That's a good question. And I like that we are talking about this because healthcare is changing every day, and so is the workforce. And that workforce is also taking care of individuals that are also kind of like them as well. So we have to be able to change with it as everything else continues to evolve. One of the interesting things that I pulled up, and I think we talked about this, was Fortune 500 companies in the LGBTQ plus representation. There's still less than 1% of those individuals that hold board seats. So we still have some ways to go. And then when we look at it from an African American standpoint, or if we dive more into it and take a look at other nationalities who identify as LGBTQ, it's even less. So one of the first things that I would probably say for retaining talent is promote that representation. You should be able to champion and support LGBTQ individuals into leadership roles within the healthcare setting because that visibility matters. Those individuals are going to see this visibility and feel empowered, like myself, to also take that step to do more, to provide more, to give more, to do more, if they see that other people like them are actually involved as well. If we take it a step further and also have those inclusive policies and benefits, that will also set you apart from everyone else, because here we are offering benefits for same-sex couples, or transgendered benefits for some kind of inclusive behavior for whatever type of healthcare that they need. It's all important. And then if we go an additional step forward, we can support our ERGs. If you have an ERG or an employee resource group within your area, join. Become familiar with who they support, what they offer, and have that woven into your DNA. Like, walk it, talk it, on stage, off stage, and make that be who you are. Because at the end of the day, the ERGs are employee focused. Their employee focus means that they're employee driven. All of these things could eventually impact the business and give you what you need as far as that representation, and also providing that sector, that pathway for individuals to come together and actually feel a part of something. Would also say allyship. Allyship is more than just, let's put up the pride flag for Pride Month and acknowledge a group of individuals. You also have to take action. What also are we doing behind the pride flag? With us being virtual, are we doing like remote pride parades, like something that's inclusive to the particular individuals that we're celebrating? How are we celebrating them?
I see a theme here of connection, right? The
Mm,
importance of that human connection. And that relates to the importance of kindness as well. We've
absolutely.
talked about the necessity of reaching out and doing our best to understand the person who's sitting next to us or beside us. But beyond their job, we should make an effort to understand their goals and their aspirations and who they are. So, based on your experience, Dante, what's your advice for aspiring leaders looking to be an ally for the queer community in the healthcare workplace?
One of the very first things to highlight is educate yourself. Take the time to take those leadership development courses, learn what you can learn to determine what kind of leader that you want to be, and then take that knowledge and then educate yourself on the people that you actually lead. Because there's a difference for managing and leading, very big difference. Once you do that, then you can take your resources and the tools and then celebrate that diversity. Be actively involved in any and everything that you possibly can be involved in, that says your presence and enthusiasm is a powerful act of kindness that shows that you truly value that diversity. Um, Discrimination policies, or addressing discrimination. If you are that aspiring leader, you actually have to walk it and talk it. So if you see the discrimination, you have to address it, because you are the leader. It always starts from you. So your employees, your colleagues are going to always look for you to mimic whatever behavior that you're going to be mimicking. So, any microaggressions or anything that you could particularly offset yourself and have yourself looked at in a different light, people are going to notice it, because they notice everything now thanks to cell phones and TikTok, and that is something that you definitely don't want to put yourself in, considering the fact of a reputation that you're working to attain, and it's gone just like that. And then I would say the last thing is lead by example. Again, making sure that you model those behaviors at work and off stage. If you are that particular individual, you can only imagine the amount of people that you can inspire to follow and create a ripple effect of kindness and inclusivity throughout the organization. So those would be the top four that I would go for if I was looking for that mentorship from another leader and wanting to be a wonderful ally.
Dante, it's been such a pleasure talking with you and getting to know you. Thank you so much for donating your time to be a representative and talk about these things with me. I really appreciate it. This has been a wonderfully insightful conversation. And for those watching, We hope you'll share this information with others at your organization as we all work together to create a culture of wellness and belonging and improve care outcomes. Thanks for watching.
Thanks, Caroline. Thanks for having me again.